Hello, hello.
Good evening, everybody. How are you today?
Fine, and you?
Welcome to LeadiaFest Live, episode 19. And we are joined here tonight by Steve and Tracy Webster. A few days ago, we were having our live with Steve. Today, he's coming back for part 2 to carry on that conversation. And with him is his lovely wife, Tracy. So welcome and thank you for joining us here tonight.
Thank you. Remember last time you said I didn't know what I was talking about, so I brought somebody that does know.
That's a wise man. We agree with that.
Okay, so Steve is our one of the most favorite guides, and we love to have lives with him. And how he's also the wise guy in the family, most probably like me. He always says the last word on any decision, and it's like, "Yes, darling, you're right."
Yeah, right.
Agribusiness in the family.
Right. So maybe we can start tonight by letting Steve introduce Tracy to all of us and the rest of the people watching us tonight, right?
Yeah, let me do that. Tracy's probably going to want to say some words herself. But Tracy, my wife, we've been married since 1987. No, not that long, 1993. But we've known each other since 1987. So we've been together a long, long time. No doubt she's my soulmate. I hope I'm hers. We have the stuff that we know and that we write about, we bounce off each other. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that I would have found that stuff without her. And I don't know about ditto. Tracy, do you want to tell everybody about yourself?
I think you've covered it all.
So, guys, I have a question. How did you meet?
Oh, I'm not sure that we, our families knew each other. So my mother worked with his mother.
Okay, that's great.
And then my mother married his father.
Sorry, can you say that again?
No.
I missed it.
I think that was the secretary code.
Yeah.
Proximity, yes.
So, in fact, our story about how we met was very interesting.
For another day.
Yes, we can discuss it another day. It will be another live.
But it's nice to see Steve and Tracy because you guys are building something together as a couple too. And of course, Karai and I can really relate to that kind of relationship. And we will talk more about what happens behind closed doors when it's talking about business with someone who's around you 24/7. Yeah, it's a different kind of relationship. Yeah. So
and when you're learning the stuff that we're learning, arguments take on a completely new dynamic because now you're coming back with and saying, who's doing the seeing? and you come back with these legitimate answers, and it doesn't help somebody get not angry.
Yes, like, oh, you're bringing my energy down, your wavelength is so off. Yeah, these kinds of things we hear all the
time. And what's the point? Like, you're very tired, you're coming home, you're trying to rest, and it's starting. Did we do that? What are we going to do about it? How will we do that tomorrow? What is going to happen? And it's like, boom, 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 boom.
It's okay. I mean,
that's the life of an entrepreneur. Like, basically 24/7, which you are thinking about the business.
To be co-founders with your spouse. Yes,
exactly.
That's a very interesting dynamic. I mean, we're here exploring connections, right? And that's a very immediate connection we're all confronted with every day. I mean, people in our similar situation. So it's a nice exploration topic too, how do you build a successful project with your life partner and soulmate? So yeah, it's very fascinating conversation.
It is. I also think it's such a big challenge that if you can overcome that challenge, then I reckon you can overcome anything.
Exactly. Yes. Super agree.
I think it was like
I want to know. I want to know though how you guys do it, and I would like to hear. Yeah, and I'd love to hear about the project you're building at the moment.
So we've worked together for a very long time. Steve had an IT company, and I did the office and the work, and he was out with the customer. So right back then, we had to figure out how to work together.
I just want to interrupt. She used to call me the CEO, which doesn't mean chief entertainment executive officer. It was the chief entertainment officer, because I was always out at lunch with the customers, according to her. Right. So don't listen to her on those things.
So and then I stayed at home to bring up the children, and now they're fully grown. We're expecting our first grandchild, and yeah, and what we're doing now is we building a school, so to speak, where we publish courses on how to become enlightened, how to manifest, what the law of attraction is, etc. And it's just information that we've downloaded. You raise your vibration, you get to a position where you're vibrating with information, and suddenly you feel like Einstein because your brain is like on fire. It's just understanding stuff that you never ever thought you could understand before, and things become crystal clear. And we bounce it off each other all the time, and things just go from there. So we've written 2 books together. We're busy doing the 3rd one, and we do our YouTube channel together. Steve does all the talking with his beautiful voice, and I do all the graphics. And so when we do put the videos together, he will give me the recorded version of what he's done, and I don't have anything to do with that. And then I listen to it literally with my earphones, and I put the video together. So everything that's on the screen is me. Everything that's the words and what's being said is Stephen. And it's amazing how it's almost as if I'm not even involved in it. When I look back at it and the video, how things just come together is just absolutely amazing.
It's also interesting to see how we leapfrog each other in terms of knowledge. So at one stage, I nearly strangled the woman. She would tell me, "It's just a choice." I said, "What? It's just a choice, to be happy or to see the right side of things or whatever. It's just a choice." And I heard that so often and so many times that now I understand it's just a choice.
It is a choice, indeed. You always make the choice of how you show up and how you interpret what's being told, right? Or what you hear. And sometimes it's worth checking. What I heard was that, but is it really what the other person was saying? And it's, I think, doubly important for people that were not raised with English as a first language. Because we might use a word that is not actually the meaning that a pure American, for instance, or a pure Brit would give to it.
Right.
2 countries separated by the same language type thing. So.
Yeah, that was a very famous statement. Was that Churchill that said that? Yeah, can't remember.
Something like that. I didn't invent that one for sure.
What you said about perception is absolutely right, because all states exist, but we choose to interpret it in one way or the other. Even, for instance, this blew me away. I only found this out recently. So we see colors, right? And we think, well, hold on, that's because of the wavelength. So therefore, the wavelength, the photon, the particle, that must have that information. It doesn't. That we add that information. There is 0 information on a photon, because if it had information, it would have mass. It couldn't travel at the speed of light. All the information we derive when light hits our eye all happens up here. It's all out of this programming, it's all our perception.
That reminds me of an old story about, I can't remember which tribe that has like 30 words for different types of blues, but none for red or greens. I can't remember which one. Reds, I think. That's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's a perception.
Yep. And then, of course, there's I call it the human understanding spectrum. So we can see the color, from red to purple. Meanwhile, there are animals that can see infrared, and there are animals or creatures that can see ultraviolet. We just don't have that capacity. We're very limited.
In fact, one of the things what I am thinking about the colors and taste, maybe what you are seeing as blue, in fact, I am seeing as red, but we are both calling the same word. So usually between us, it's coming to a point that we are synchronizing at our thoughts and what we are saying at some point. So we are basically thinking the same things about the same subject, even we are talking, or we are sometimes saying the same words about the same things.
And I mean, this conversation made me think about how environment is so important in changing our perception. So the people we hang out with, the actual physical environment, like what you said about blues. If you see all sorts of blues, you will have a very wide spectrum of blues in your vocabulary. So the wider your perspective gets, the wider your capacities also get. So it's just amazing that, so if what we think about is what creates things, then to be a wider or stronger creator or magician, if you want to call that word, like we just have to keep widening and widening our perspective, and that's amazing.
In fact, there is a word like saying that watch out what you are saying. What you are saying is being what you are thinking, because your thoughts are going to make your language, or language is going to make your behavior.
Habits.
Your behaviors are going to turn into habits. Habits are going to turn to personality,
and then identity. Yeah.
And it's going to make, no, it was not about that. It was about like your thoughts are being, your words, your thoughts are going to come to your words are going to make the things, and the things are going to be reality.
Yep.
Right.
So it's a kind of manifestation, right?
Right.
I think it was Mahatma Gandhi had one of those where he said, your thoughts become words, your words become actions, your actions becomes habits, your habits become a behavior.
And make you who you are. In terms of manifesting and creating, where I'm at the moment is we don't create anything. Everything already exists. And in the field of infinite probability, which is the singularity, which is the infiniteness, the oneness, that only exists in the present moment. And so you can only access the field of infinite probability in the present moment. But we don't actually create anything. What happens is we are electromagnetic, and we attract to us the same vibration that we're emitting. So at the end of the day, whatever becomes reality for us becomes reality because we've attracted it and fixed the photons, the particles, and given them mass at that frequency, and that becomes the reality that we experience in the present moment.
And it's difficult for us to talk like this because one of the books we've written is The Law of Creation, where we explain in scientific and physics terms how manifestation works. It's not woo-woo at all. It is purely scientific. And I'm looking forward to sitting in Istanbul. I'd love to sit in a pub with you and explain it, but you don't drink anymore, Corey. So we'll have to find a coffee shop, and I'd love to sit and explain the process.
There will be an exception. Don't worry about it.
And I'm sure they'll have tea because he drinks a lot of tea.
Yep. So you are absolutely unlimited. You're incredibly powerful. What you think, you end up creating over time. There's just no doubt about it. And we've been taught, as we discussed last time, over the last 5,000 years of programming and conditioning, we've been taught that we're limited. We've been taught that we're less than. We've been taught that we have to rely on all these authorities, whether they be government, religious, the wife, and none of that's valid. You are unlimitless. The God is inside you, And that's why you are made in God's image. You have that absolute power that you can create.
Okay, and also, like, I think when you are thinking, at a certain point you start to believe in it, and they say that's when the magic happens, right?
If you look at all of the religious and spiritual texts, every single one, it talks about faith and belief. The Bible, you know, faith can move mountains. There's I forget the exact saying, but Hebrews 11:1 describes how faith is belief in something unseen. So the whole point, and it ties in with what I was saying about the law of creation, there are levels of belief. If I'm hoping for something to happen, that's only a 30% probability. If I'm absolutely certain that it's going to happen, in fact, I'm certain that it's happened already, that's 100% belief. And in theory, that's what will now tune into my world, because I'm now operating at that frequency where I believe that that thing exists already. And therefore, the frequency, you've seen the metronome video where there's a room full of metronomes, and they've got them to work at different speeds. And over time, they all even out to the same metronomic tone, because that's what happens. The sum of the frequencies anywhere become the median of that frequency. A high frequency and a low frequency will ultimately balance out. And that's what we end up with, is all of those frequencies will give you the average frequency.
But coming back to belief, absolutely everything what you believe you will perceive. So we believe all sorts of things. I believe that I should drink 2 liters of water a day to be healthy. I believe that vegetables are really good for you. So if I don't drink my water every day, then because I believe I should have it, I'm going to, if I don't drink it, then I'm going to feel like I'm not going to be healthy. So what we have to look at is we have to look at our beliefs and do they correlate? Do they work with what we actually do every single day? Because if our beliefs are not congruent with our actions, that's when things don't flow and things don't happen. But ultimately, what I've learned is that in order to manifest, we are love, we are joy, we are happiness. We need to do nothing to be those things, because we are already those things. So ultimately, what we're doing is we're removing from us what we are not. And so little by little, we let go of the false faces we have, personas that we put forth, and we just keep letting go of these parts of us, the doubt, the fear, the etc. Until we just left with who we are. So we don't have to go and find that happiness or find the joy. We just have to learn to be in the present moment and just be who we are. And that's become really, really powerful for me right now, because what I've discovered is that in order to manifest, there is nothing right nor wrong, positive nor negative, good or bad, except for the thinking that makes it so. So I've given a lot of information, thought to this, and everything just is. Everything is neutral. It has no positivity and no negativity. It just is, until we bring ourselves and our perspective to it. And if all we do is just ever focus on the things that we want, and with gratitude, and ignore everything else. So if we ignore all the bad stuff that we believe exists, and we just focus on the good, you will only attract good and only raise your vibration all the time.
I was actually leading towards that question, like, how do you make this a daily practice for yourselves, like to be in this kind of belief state? And you said, what I believe is one practice you do, you ignore a lot of the other stuff.
Everything else, ignore it. So, but in order to get there, you can't do it, because it won't be natural to do it until you've got your beliefs in place, your trust that everything always works out for you, trust in the process, and belief that you can do it. Once you've got that into place and you've managed to let go a lot of the baggage, then you can start just ignoring everything that you don't want. And we just work off each other. When Stephen says something, oh, I don't want to be late, I'll say, what don't you want? What do you want? Tell me what you do want. So when we start putting our thoughts into words, we're now then giving it more energy. So we've just gotten to the point where we've made an agreement with each other and we'll just help each other. So when he sees I'm saying something or doing something that we don't agree is the way to go, he'll point it out, and vice versa. And we just want to so much grow that we are now just pliable. There's a lot of the ego is gone, where before I would get irritated or annoyed or and fight back and be offended.
There's still some ego left.
Yeah, there is. I'm human. but before, where I couldn't take being told that you're wrong or whatever, and now it's no problem, because you're just so interested in, let me get this right, that everything else just falls by the wayside. And for my practice, I meditate most nights, and in the mornings I fill my perspective. I'm not a morning person, so I don't like to get out of bed too quickly and early and do stuff. So I'll sit on social media or read a book or whatever, but everything that's there just feeds what I'm wanting to create. So a lot of it is just sweet, cute little animals and then quotes and things like that. So everything that comes through on my feed just reinforces everything I'm trying to build.
I think the key is about happiness, because happiness is not like your life is amazing, like just setting up your priorities, which things you're going to consider more, which things you're going to ignore more.
Yeah.
So there is nothing like a wonderful life, but it's about like how you are seeing, like, okay, there are some problems, but I am happy with what I have. Or you're going to focus on what is missing or what is making you unhappy. Then of course you're going to always consider about it. It's in fact like how you are digesting the thing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought something to mind for me. I just got to try and remember it. This is a little bit of the Alzheimer's coming in. It's gone. It'll probably come back just now. But absolutely. When we think something and then want to act on it, actually, you carry on. I've gone down a rabbit hole.
Joanna is saying here, she's so like me, they're so like us.
And what Tracy left out, in order to be that way, you've got to be mad, because you're letting go of everything. You're letting go of who you are. You become nothing and nobody. Why? Because if you let go of everything, you can build whatever it is you want. And it's our attachment to things that stop us from doing that, especially so many people, attachment to all the hurts and rejections they've had in their life. And they can't let go of that. So by holding on to it, not only are you making it real, you're not allowing yourself the space and time to create the ideal world that you want.
So some of the stuff one thing that was really, really pertinent for me, 4 years ago, I got to a point where life was just not worth living. And that's where we published the Law of Creation. And in the book, Stephen writes, when you are 100% certain about something manifesting, it will manifest. And I thought, how can you be 100% certain that it's going to happen when you have no proof that it's going to happen? It didn't match. And it's taken me the 4 years to actually get there and understand how to build certainty that something will come. And you need trust and faith in place for the certainty to follow. But in terms of just focusing on what it is that you want, Einstein says the biggest decision we make every day, daily, is that to choose whether we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. If you think that there is things out there that are hostile, that are bad for you and dangerous, You can't, there's one or the other. You can't be in the middle. And so if you think that there is something dangerous, then you believe you live in a world that has hostile things. So I thought to myself, okay, it was about setting boundaries that this all came about, because I thought, why do I need boundaries if I live in a friendly universe? I don't need boundaries. I don't need protection. I don't need anything like that. And I needed to set boundaries. It was my struggle. And I managed to set the boundary only once I realized that the boundary is not to keep anybody out and not for protection. It's to keep me in, to stop me from overstepping and becoming the person that I'm trying not to be, that I'm trying to move away from. And once I understood that, I put the boundary into place. Understanding that there is nothing bad, there is nothing that you need protection from. So when I started to just contemplate this, I realized, okay, if everything is just is, and my energy I bring to it creates it, good or bad, then I'm just going to absolutely ignore anything that's bad. So now if I walk away from my car and I go, oh, did I lock my car? I will not go back and check. I will continue walking because I will manifest that I locked my car. I will believe and I will create that. And as I walk away, I go, I know how to create. My car is locked, and I lock my car, and the car's locked. All I do is I'm working on aligning myself with that vibration, that reality string, that frequency in the field of infinite probability. I align myself to attract that and become one with that version of reality. So when you're in the present moment and you spend a lot of time present in the present moment, you have an incredible amount of power. And we are so powerful, we are so magical, we have such special gifts that we can do that. So if my cat goes out and it's not back on time, and the first thing you think, oh, I wonder if it's being taken by a coyote, I wonder if it's safe. Stop thinking those things, because as soon as you think something like that, you bring it, you're attracting it. So all possible realities exist. The one that becomes real is the one you give your attention and your focus to repetitively. So if I suddenly think something that I don't want to be a reality, I become so aware that I go, oh, no, okay, thank you. I'm not thinking about that. This is what I want to think. And immediately I will tell myself, thank you very much for that information, but that's not what the direction I'm going. So it's a mindfulness every single moment of every single day. And when you say, you can't just have a joyful life. 4 years ago, when life was just terrible, I made a deal with myself. I thought, if I'm going to do the work, I'm going to do exactly what we say to do in the law of creation. I'm going to follow it exactly. I'm going to walk the talk. And I'm going to prove to myself that this world where you've got sadness and happiness doesn't have to be that way. You can purely live in joy. And I thought to myself, I'm going to find out how to do that. And I've done that, because if there's nothing that's joyful or sad, but for how you think about it, then I can think about it and make everything joyful. And so I no longer refer to that there's problems in my life or something's not right or whatever. There is no problems, there's only opportunities. So when something comes along, I just learn how to traverse the process with joy, with fun, with excitement, with anticipation. And I've learned that I love a challenge. So when the challenge comes along, then I get stuck into it. And I also know that in order to climb to the next level of understanding and broadening your what are we? Consciousness. No, I've lost my train of thought. But in order to
see if you get about. I know what you're thinking. Hang on, you're married to Steve. You should be in a joyful state every day. It should be easy. Well, I don't understand why she struggled either. You know, I know what you're thinking.
What you focus on, you get.
Yes, absolutely, without a doubt. But most people think that it's a case of ignoring and pretending, but it's absolutely not. It's a case of accepting that, yes, there is any possible outcome. I can think of 100 and there are infinite numbers. Any one can happen. Which one do I want to happen? So I've gotten to a point where I understand totally that, I've come to understand that to raise yourself to the next level of consciousness, you need some impetus, you need something.
Challenge.
And often just before we expand our consciousness, there's something, and you're grinding at it and you're working at it, and there's frustration and there's stuff. And I no longer see that frustration and that whatever as a bad thing. I know that something wonderful is coming, and I embrace that. I embrace it as part of the challenge, part of the energy that's required to give you the oomph to the next level.
And I want to add there that what we're finding at the moment is that the next incredible lesson is in the bad event that you had today.
Yeah.
And that's part of that hero's journey that we'll talk about in Istanbul.
Yeah. And if you just keep looking at the lesson, the badness or whatever, as the lesson coming in and helping you to get to the new expanded consciousness, nothing's bad and there's no problem.
Right. And the important thing is all the lessons are in the unknown. Because if you do everything that you did every day, and obviously we try to protect ourselves and we try to be secure, and it's all fear-mindedness that makes us do these things. You know, do we have enough money? Or is the cat safe? Oh, I better not drive today because it's rain. It's all fear-based and it's rubbish. Okay. You just have to go inside, believe that you are ultra powerful. Everything's going to be okay. And that's how it works out. When the unknowns come along, look for the lesson. There is a valuable lesson in that unknown.
I think there's something like when you are starting a day, let's say there will be 50 things in whole day which you are going to be upset about them. And there will be 50 things which you will be happy about them. If you're going to start your day as saying that today is going to be a hard day for us, you're going to see that 50 things which are going to make you upset or unhappy. But if you're going to say, my day is going to be amazing, you're going to see, because you're just going to selectively choose the things to see which will make you happy, because you will believe that your day is going to be happy.
Yeah.
I saw lots of companies who are having financial problems. And when I was talking to their CEO or general manager or the owners, they were always trying to explain me how difficult their situation is. And when I was trying to explain them, okay, your situation is difficult, I understand. But there are opportunities too. Where you are going to focus, to the opportunity or the risk. If you're going to focus on risk, you're just going to try to avoid the risk. So it means you're going to play to not lose, but you're already losing. You cannot fix it. So if you are going to play to win, you need to focus on opportunities and take actions to win, which is going to be the game changer.
Yeah.
It's fear. What you've just summed up is the answer to life. And there's fear and there's love. Which one do you want to focus on? And you've just nailed it.
I think in one of the videos we did, I think it was law of dominance, where you've got a law of pessimistic interpretation. What was that one? Law of
Tell me what
law of interpretation. And so if something so if something does it just is, it's neither good nor bad. How you perceive it, it will become. So it'll be when you're perceiving it as a risk or as a hard thing, or if you're seeing it as easy or a challenge or a good thing, you put that energy on it. But what I found was when most people, because they believe that there's bad stuff out there and we've got to protect ourselves and we've got to be safe, etc., they actually have a pessimistic outlook on life. They might be upbeat and positive, but they have a pessimistic outlook on life. You're looking for what can go wrong. You're looking for how you can mitigate the bad things and the problems. So like you said, yes, absolutely. If you're looking at the world like that, you're gonna find a lot of negativity. Whereas if you're looking at what can go right and what will be okay and what will go in your way, that's what you'll generally find, because seek and ye shall find. What you're looking to see is what you will attract to you. Life is perspective. So what you're looking to see is what you will find.
But to get to that level where you can actually be honest with yourself and say, hey, I've caused a lot of this and I can actually improve a lot of this, you need to No, I've lost it. Was there anything you wanted to say?
We'll get there.
Yeah. So that's something that's changed in our marriage, in our dynamic, being able to, instead of looking at it as in right and wrong, and I know very much when I ever felt wrong, I would come out defensively, because inside my self-talk and everything wasn't good, and I couldn't feel any more wrong internally. So I would come out and I would fight. That dynamic has all changed because, yeah.
I've remembered it, and that is that consciousness is, as basic humans, we're just Pavlovian monkeys. It's dopamine. We do everything based on dopamine. So if somebody annoys you on social media and you respond in an angry way, that's because it gives you a dopamine, and you're constantly looking for things that affirm or confirm your beliefs. Why? Because it gives you dopamine. And at some stage, you need to raise yourself above that, because that's your lizard brain. And you need to say, hold on, there's more to life than this. And realize that dopamine is the wrong thing here. It's the problem. We're addicted to dopamine. Right. And then say, what can I do to stop doing this? Is there something more? Can I change my behavior? I need to stop being so reliant on dopamine.
I have so many burning questions, but the one thing that we're really way over our time slot too, almost doubling it. But I really just want to ask this one question. I know. I really just want to ask this one question. Like, okay, you work on yourself and your consciousness, and you ignore other things, and then you include your spouse, who's your everyday companion, in that space, and you're able to build maybe that force field where both of you are in that same frequency. But how do you expand that space to make it bigger so more and more people are part of that frequency? Like, for example, today there's so much going on in the world that's making everyone so down and depressed. But how do we address that? Like, how do we navigate?
But can I add something? It was about 11 years ago or 10 years ago. I was living in a country. I will not give the name because I love the country. It was quite poor. And whenever I was talking to the people in that country and trying to understand what's happening, they were always saying that you don't understand this country, you don't know this country, we have these problems, this impossibility. So they learned to look at the impossibilities, and I saw that lots of people who are foreigners were going to that country and they were making quite good life. And according to the standards of that country, their life was amazing. And their idea was like, foreigners are super rich. But in fact, foreigners were getting rich in that country because they were not taught about impossibilities. So they were not seeing from the eyes of that country. And that country was poor because the mindset was like, oh, we're a poor country. There is no resources. In lots of poor countries in the world I had been, when you're talking, this country is very poor. When they say that, in fact, they don't see the potential of the country. Because think about Singapore. Technically, it needs to be one of the poorest countries. Yeah. Low population, low land, no self-sustaining possibility, but they're one of the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
Because they want to see the opportunity, not the problem.
So to quickly answer you, Joanna, so this is information that we dealt with in our ebook, Unpack Yourself. At the end of the day, we do not watch the news. I have no idea what's going on in the world from a perspective of war or crime or anything like that. I have no idea. And I have no idea what's going on politically. If you come and you speak to me about Joe Soap, I have to say to you, okay, who is Joe Soap? And give me a little bit of background so I can have a conversation with you. Because it has no bearing for me, nothing whatsoever. I'm not interested in the slightest. It has nothing on the life that I want to build. In fact, if all politicians and all war and crime and everything just dissolved tomorrow, I'd be very, very happy and my world wouldn't change at all. But at the end of the day, I just completely take it out because what you're focusing on, your world, you are the center of your universe. And the moment we desire something, the very moment we think, I want world peace, or I want to help this person and they're in the war zone, I want to help them. That moment you want to change something, you're admitting that there's something that needs to be changed. So by focusing on that, the moment we have a desire, we activate two trains. So we activate the train of desire, and we activate the train of lack at the very same time. Because if we had it, we wouldn't desire it. So by desiring it, we are saying we lack it. So by wanting to help somebody who's in a difficult circumstance in the world or whatever, by wanting to help them, we're admitting that they need help, and that creates the problem in the first place. So we've got to come around it without desiring it, without wanting to change it. And the only way that I can do that is by thinking of it completely healed, completely whole, completely the way that I want it. So that's what we think, we perceive. So if you have in mind what it is that you want, a result. So let's say I want this to be a success. I want this to have 20,000 views. I want this that way. I want this that way. All you do every time you think about it is think about it like that. Visualize it like that. And that is how you attract that vibrational string and bring it into reality.
So can we say that you're going to focus what you want to be done, not like what you don't want to be done?
You got it. Yeah, because focusing on what you don't want, you're giving it energy.
What you don't want.
You are making it frequent. Okay, so you're giving it a frequency, you're making it more frequent, more likely to happen.
Can we say on this way, I want some politicians to be very happy and retired?
Even better, you picture how you would feel when they've retired, and convince yourself that that is a reality.
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, that's the thing, because I mean, we experienced it a few times in the last few years. Basically, when you are focusing someone to be gone, in fact, it is more like giving the energy to them.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
And, okay. I think we have to call it a night.
Yes.
We don't want to take up more of Tracy and Steve's time. It's been a very animated conversation, so many open-ended things where we can still take this to, and I have so many questions. I told you, like, how does this translate to parenting, to so many things, but we will reserve that for later. And next week, when Steve flies to Istanbul, we can have a lot of these one-on-one conversations. And we hope, Tracy, you can also join us at the future Leadia Festival, maybe at the next one. So we can really continue this, and there's no end to it.
We need to talk those things on the stage.
Right, right. So any last words before we end tonight's session?
Thank you very much for having us.
It's been wonderful meeting you all.
Okay, thank you. We love you guys. I mean, we love all our guides, but you're one of my most favorite guys. Thank you very much for joining us.
We can't wait. I can't wait to see you guys next week. All right.
I will pick you up from the airport personally.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys. See you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Right.